You did that on purpose. I've got orange in my mouth.
Yes, I did.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode. We're just going to wait a little bit so that people can sort of log on. Mike, how you doing? How's your week gone?
I got to tell you that it's been a record for me this week. All the years I've been working in business, I've had an inbound lead from somebody I had no clue who they were every single day this week. And the one today came in the night from Australia. So listen, guys, listen. If I know you're all dying to do business with me. You need me. Blah blah blah. Don't send that email today. No. Send that email tomorrow, right? When that makes it 5 in a row. That's just gonna make my week. So tomorrow, please. Yeah. How about you, Kirst? Anyway, what are you up to?
I mean, the week's fine. I'm excited for the weekend, though.
Yeah. So am I, actually. Yes.
You got no idea what I'm talking about, do you?
Yeah. Something. What is it?
Michael, this weekend we're going to be making something.
Parsnip wine.
We're
going to make parsnip wine. Yeah, it's going to be good. Yeah, well, we're okay with that.
Parsnip wine.
We'll bring it in next week on the show. We'll show you what we've done.
Well, I'm not sharing my parsnip wine, but yeah, okay. All right. Okay, so I think we may as well get started. So, Mike, today we are talking about armchair networking.
Yes, we are.
Now, Mike, when we get into networking, you don't like networking, do you? You don't like networking events at all.
No, that's not true. Actually, I get misquoted on all this on this a lot. Actually, I don't like going to networking events that are pointless. I just think it's a complete waste of time. You go, and it's quite nice to mix with people and have a chat. That's all right. That's what you want to do. I say do it. Or if you go and you definitely come away with more business than you put the effort in to get, that's absolutely fine. But just going and well, as it said in the advert for this, drinking the warm chardonnay, what would I bother? Seriously.
A little warm chardonnay. Who doesn't love a little bit of warm chardonnay?
Pete does, apparently. So
okay, all right. So now we are talking about armchair networking and how to network in a lockdown. But before we do that, networking historically is, well, I mean, I think of networking as a verb. We do it, but you have a different sort of slant on it, don't you?
Yes. Years ago, the word network was a noun. It described, in fact, got a definition here for you. It described a group of people who were willing and able to help you in your personal and your professional lives. I mean, it goes the old boys network, that's pretty much gone now. But that idea that people would meet and stay in touch and help each other because they could help each other. And then you've got those two words, willing and able. Well, they're the two key words here, because if you're building a network, you want people who are able to help you, right? And they've done that because you've chosen them. We're going to talk about that a bit later. You've chosen them for the reason. You know exactly why they're in there, and that's a really crucial thing. So you understand what that person might be able to do for you. And that might sound a bit exploitative. Is that a word?
It is now.
It is now, right? But it isn't, because you've done more for them than they've done for you. And that is absolutely crucial. Right? We're going to look at this in a little while, because that's the big difference. Is if you do more for them than they do for you, you're not exploiting them. It's the other way around, but you're cool with that. That's the secret to great networking. And it doesn't matter where you do that. You don't have to go to an event to do that at all. And there's lots of ways that we're going to talk about later that you can actually do that. But that is the key, right? You need to be, well, basically what we say is in the black in the relationship bank account. Done more for them than they've done for you, as opposed to the red, which is the other way around.
Yeah, and just to mention on that, Mike does have, as usual, 3 tips at the end of this where we can sort of do armchair networking. He's going to give you 3 tips about how to do that at the end of the video, so stick around. So, Mike, network is a noun. Okay, we get that, and it's making sure that these people are helpful. Does that mean the definition of networking is different in your world as well?
You know it, Cocker.
I do.
It absolutely has. Yeah. Well, I think it's been hijacked, hasn't it? The network now as a word is pretty much a verb. It's to network. Hey, what are you doing tonight? I'm doing some networking. Well, actually, you're lucky dipping in many cases. That means, I don't mean to be disparaging. I've been to those events where you don't really know who's there. These days, they won't even give you the list of attendees, which you used to be able to get because of GDPR. You can't even get that now. So you rock up and hope for the best, that either you see somebody which, by the way, is the main reason I go to those events now, because I know somebody's going and I want to see them face to face. What a cool way to do that. and drink warm chardonnay,
Mm.
right? But you're either going to go there and meet somebody, which is fine, or you're going to hope for the best. It's like kissing frogs. We call it lucky dipping, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in actual fact, real networking is where the cursor was there, really. It is that. It is any activity that builds or strengthens a real network. So that can be anything. And we're going to talk about so in the rest of the show, obviously. So going to events can be one of those real networking activities. It's fine to do that,
Right.
but it's not the only one. And it's probably a good idea in your mind to stop using the word network as a verb. Think of it as a noun. It is, you know what, we teach people this, don't we, in Pete's course, for the lawyers and accountants out there. The thing that we say to them all is that this is probably your most powerful business asset that you can build, because wherever you go, that network goes with you. So it doesn't matter what you do or where you work, your network will be there with you, and it's there to help you in your personal and professional lives. Let me tell you a little story, actually. When I first went into recruitment, my boss, Mike Sparks, gave me a piece of advice, and I'm going to have to paraphrase because I can't remember the exact words. This is, by the way, this came to me because Steve Guest has got a thing on his group on Facebook. What's the first piece of advice you remember in sales? And this is it for me. And he said, build a network because it'll do the heavy work, heavy lifting for you. Right? Build a network because it'll do all the work for you. And I did, and it did.
Yeah.
And I taught as many people as I could get my hands on to do exactly the same. And I was looking. My businesses combined have done over £350 million in revenue over the years. Mostly that came from networks, real networks, by people who are willing and able to help us. And I think that's a really key thing. So, that is real networking. You're thinking about the people that you want to focus on, okay? And then you're going to think about how you can add value to them, which we're going to talk about in a second.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to put something in the relationship bank account and put yourself in the black.
Okay.
And I think
I was going to say, so it's a really purposeful activity. You're purposely doing it. It's something that you nurture. It's something that you actively has to be. It's not something you have and then chuck aside and go, I built that in 1986 and now it's just there forever. It's something that
it's a living thing. It's a living thing. Yeah. It's made up of living things, people, and people will go from that. They retire or whatever, and new people will come along, or you will change perhaps what you're doing. So at the moment, we're obviously putting a lot more effort, or some of us are, into establishing ourselves in professional services. Right. And you know why that is. Well, we don't have much of a network in there, so we are actively building a network in that space. Right. And we're following these rules, and it will build a network, and that network will work for us. I think that that the trouble with traditional networking. Did I just do?
Bunny ears.
Oh no.
I know they've got a word, but bunny ears is the.
Anyway, but the trouble with that, very much so, is that it's transactional to a lot of people, not to everyone. I know that. And I know some really good networkers out there in the traditional sense. They go, they mix, they talk, they learn, they speak, they help. Great. But a lot of people are transactional. I'm going to go tonight, meet somebody and do some business with them. And that's not the thinking to have. This is not the thinking.
Are you trying to tell me, Mike, that people don't go to a networking events with money burning holes in their pockets, just waiting to just doll it out like that? No? Is that
they may do, but nobody's ever invited me to those events. But to be fair, there's lots of events I've not been invited to, so it's not anything different, is it really? But no, they don't. I mean, some people do buy. Of course they do. Of course they do. And of course some of these BNI things and those type of groups are very good because you're tapping into the network of your network, and that's absolutely fine. If that works for you, keep doing it. I say. I'm simply saying that long term, if you want to build an empire, a business empire, and whatever that means to you, I don't necessarily mean £350 million empire, but just something that you're proud of, that generates the money that you want, that does the work so you don't have to, that kind of thing. Then you build long-term relationships, and you build trust into that relationship and confidence into that relationship, and you make sure everybody in it is in the black in the relationship bank account, and then the magic happens. Weirdly, it all starts to come to you, which is exactly what you want. Because otherwise, you know what, you've got to go out there and get it every single day. Yeah. Quite frankly, that's hard work.
Or you can ask for it, but you're asking in a much warmer way, and in a relation, in a way that people. Whereas I suppose it's never been more useful than now, when the world is a little bit different. I don't want to mention it,
The thing,
but
yeah.
the thing. But like referrals start drying up. There's a lot more competition. It's a lot more cutthroat. People start buying business. Going as low as they can go.
Yeah.
Whereas when you've got a network, a strong network that you've built and you've nurtured, and that's people's relationships are strong with you, that's less of an issue. Still is an issue. I think it always will be, but it's less.
Yes, it is an issue now, and you can't get away that at the moment cost is an issue for a lot of people for various reasons, of course. But it's about, I've got so many stories. Have I got time for a quick story that wasn't in
You've got
rehearsals?
time for a story, and then we're going to move on to the tips in just a second.
Okay, all right, very quick story then. I've got loads of these. When okay, years ago, I wanted to do business with Severn Trent Water. We were a startup business, tiny. We were getting nowhere. And one of the contractors who had worked through someone else there was asked to go back because she'd worked on a project and they wanted her to do that work again. So she said, I'll come back, but I'm going through those boys, my good self. And they put so much pressure on her. The other agency offered to pay all the fee to her, so no margin. Nope, wasn't having it. They offered to lift the margin. The Severn Trent themselves didn't want us to be in there, so they said, no, we'll pay more. Nope. And in the end, she went back through us, right? That was a power of the network because we'd done so much for her. We treated her as a person. We'd added value. We'd made her life, enjoyable to be with us. And because of that, at one point we had 70 contractors. I mean, literally tens of millions of pounds over the years we made out of that business, just because the strength of the relationship with one person that said, no, I'm going back through them, or I'm not going back at all. Power of network.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. Right, so we understand what a network is. We understand what real networking is. So now let's get on to how we can sort of make the most of our network now, sitting on our armchair at home when networking events aren't even possible anyway. So what's the first thing that we should do?
Okay, first thing, this isn't a tip. This is just a background thing that I would suggest you do. If you haven't already done it, is audit your network. So who's in it? Why are they there? And kind of what state is that relationship bank account with them? I recommend that you have 30 people in a core network and another 50 in a peripheral network. So the ones in the 30 put a lot of effort in to build the relationship and keep it vibrant. And then the ones in the peripheral, you do the best with whatever time you've got left over. You don't have to do that, but it's so simple to strip off all your contacts off LinkedIn, put them into a spreadsheet, which LinkedIn does for you, and you can just go through and sort them out. Even if that takes some time, do you know what? It's well worth doing, I think. But that's it's like a fourth tip, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like it's a prequel because I think everybody knows that right now you don't have a lot of time. Time is a premium, and that's going to save you some time.
Yes, I like that. Yeah. Okay. Right. So, well, the big thing is now, as everybody knows, is LinkedIn is the new networking event. It's the place where you go, essentially, to meet new people, to build relationships, to get those relationships to the point where both people can get something from it, which is the deal, right? So that's the first thing to say. Now, first rule is that one, right? I know it sounds stupid, really, but I know loads of people that don't invite people to connect. Well, you know what? If you don't invite them to connect, they probably won't connect with you. And unless you're so cool that people are beating, a path to your door, I suppose.
Right. Okay. So, but I mean, a lot of people, no matter what reason, have a fear of people saying no or rejecting them or being seen as a hassle. So what can you do to make the odds of someone accepting your invitation higher? What can I do?
Okay. Well, the first thing to say is a backdrop to this. Don't take it personally. It's not personal. And in many cases, what people will do, if you invite them to connect and they don't know you, is your headline is crucial. Right, massively so, because that's what they see on the invitation. And a lot of people make a decision on that headline. So make sure the headline isn't cheesy, working with, we've all done it. Try and put something in there as best as you can, which describes what you are. And if look at it, they're like, okay, I'll have a little look. I'll go through and look at the profile. The headline is about ruling people out, not necessarily including people in. I see it. I don't like that. Gone. Which is a bit of a bugger if you happen to be a recruiter, of course, sadly. Anyway, awkward. Right. So, and then the next thing is, obviously, you've got to make sure your LinkedIn profile's in great shape. I'm not going to talk about that today, but the actual invitation itself, we've done a lot of research on this, and I'll give you some data on it. So this is my data, so you might be slightly different. If I invite someone to connect, and I just let it default to the LinkedIn invitation, I'll get between 10 and 15% acceptance rate on that, roughly. Can vary, depends what I'm doing online, actually, but that's about it. If I make that invitation bespoke, put a message in. I'm going to tell you exactly the format I use in a second. If I put a bespoke message in there, that doubles to about 30%. So 1 in 3, there or thereabouts. And the message is, so it'd be, hi, Kirsty. I just thought it'd be useful to connect because of our shared interest in recruitment. Hope you agree. If you can put something more in there, you commented on my LinkedIn post. So I thought we'd connect because of our shared interest in recruitment.
Me.
The key word there is because. Right? That's the key word. You're giving them a reason. So if you don't give them a reason, it's like, well, should I or shouldn't I? Oh, yeah, we do have a shared interest in recruitment. Yes, I think I'll accept. And the other thing is to put a PS on there and put something in the PS which shows that you've read their profile, top to bottom. So anything that's relevant. Don't get cheesy with it, obviously. I get a lot, actually, people doing it with me because I put a personal section in my LinkedIn profile, as you know, where I talk about being a Wolves supporter. And that used to get me a lot of,
Black and gold warriors.
Yeah, the heroes of the world. But whatever. But it shows those two things. Put because and then
and a PS.
and then a PS. And make the PS relevant as best as you can.
Make the because relevant as well, I'm guessing.
But I mean, but also, the research says that if you just say because and a reason, that bumps it up straight away. Just that.
Oh, really?
Anyway, so last one now. If two more, sorry. If you if I put a link in the invitation to our website where all our content is, it doubles again. It goes up to about 55 to 60% acceptance rate. And I put a reference. We don't just feed off our market. We feed it. We feed it. Check it out. Check out some of our content here. Free content. Go through it. Goes up to about 55 to 60%. And lastly, if I've been interacting with someone online, commenting on their stuff, or they comment on mine, little bubble of activity, it's over 90%. Right. So put a bit of thought into inviting the right people to connect in the right way, I think.
Okay, so with that, the value piece, so showing that you add value to your network, is that possible to have that as the PS? So PS, we add I don't just take from you, I add a lot.
Yeah, you can, but the PS is supposed, because people read PSs. That's why you get them in emails as well. So people read them. So you need to put something in there that closes the loop and says, well, okay, this isn't just someone that sat down and invited 20 people to connect today, which they'll do another 20 tomorrow. This is someone that's read my profile and something connected with him or her. So I read that thing and that meant something to me. So I remember I'm very big on values. So I like when people have the similar value set to me, and sometimes they write that up in their profile, and I say, do you know what, I also believe in that as well. That kind of thing.
All right. So talking about value, we brings us to point number 2, I believe.
Yes, it does. This is the number 1 rule, in fact, of networking: give before you ask. Okay, so we've talked about it. This is how you get in the black in the relationship bank account. But there's a big bear trap with this, which I must share with you. The big bear trap is you do what you think is adding value. The other person just thinks you're a nuisance.
Yeah, we've all been there. We've all had somebody who thinks they're giving us something valuable, and you just kind of go.
When you see that email coming, you're thinking, no.
I know you're trying, but it's not right.
Let me go. You're part of the noise then, and that's the problem. So don't be part of the noise, really.
Okay. All right. So what kind of things can you do to add value? Because not everybody has access. I mean, we churn out a lot of content, but that's just because that's how our business model is set up. Some people find it harder to create. I take exception
of the word churn. I mean, how very dare you say that?
We take the time to create quality content that adds value. Craft quality content that adds value to our network. Sorry.
Okay. First thing is, what you have to do is find out what people find valuable. And seriously, talk to them, or watch what they talk about, or watch what they post, or just be interested in what they're saying to understand what they find valuable. And then when you get to know them, which we'll talk about in a second, you can then dig deeper and only give them stuff that they find valuable. I know that sounds like rocket science, but don't just blast everything out to everybody. Now, again, be clear, when you don't know anybody, then that's the best that you can do. So I do that with people I've just met. If we've done a great video, or if we've done something that's got a lot of traction, I will send that to people in the hope that it's valuable. But what I'm looking to do is to learn, because if they don't look at it or they don't comment on it, I won't send them something like that again, because I've learned that's not really of interest to them. So you've got to learn by it. I'm not saying from the get-go, but the more you can be specific with the value that you give, the more valuable it becomes, and the blacker that bank account, the relationship bank account becomes.
Okay.
Right, now the question you asked was, I think, how can you add value? Well, tons of things, really. I mean, you can create content yourself, of course. These days, I use long-form LinkedIn posts as content. Write something, get a lot of traction around it, lots of likes and views and comments, things. Oh, that's valuable, obviously, because people think it is. So I send that, say you might like to read this. If you write articles on LinkedIn or blog posts, or you do little videos, or a little YouTube channel where you put stuff, whatever you put your content, you can do that. Bigger stuff, maybe your firm does research. We recommend people do original research. It's the easiest thing in the world. Put together a little simple little online survey, send it to some people, ask them to fill it in nicely, take the data and create something, a one-pager or an infographic or something that's useful for your audience. That's enough. You don't have to go overboard. But the big thing for me is events. Bloody love events, really.
Events that you're running or other events?
Well, both really, but the events that we run, there's an advantage to it as well, is that we also get then a little bit closer with the relationship, because if they come on a webinar that we're running or a round table, which is very small, then obviously you are having an interaction with them and they're getting a flavor of you, which could be a good thing or a bad thing, but they're getting that and they're beginning to understand what makes you tick and beginning to understand whether they like you or not and beginning to understand whether you're valuable, whether you should be in their network or not. And this is how you do it. This is how networking really works. So much easier than going to events. I know I keep banging on about that, but this is dead easy really to do.
Right. So, and I assume if you don't have either the power or right now the functionality to run your own event, if you were to invite them to say something like, "There's this round table going on, I think you'd like it," I'm going
you can do that.
Want to attend, stuff like that. That would still work.
I mean, that simply put, that's what events do. They add value, and you can escalate the interactions, which we're going to talk about at the last tip that we've got. You can invite people to anything. I'm going to this thing. It's pretty cool. In fact, I've seen this. I'm in a couple of groups, and quite often they'll kind of say, "Oh, well, we're doing this networking event. Would anyone like to come?" That's cool. It's great. Because especially if it's not just a meet and greet and chat in a big circle thing, which but if it's actually some value, somebody's actually sharing some value with you. Yeah, how cool is that? Everybody wins.
All right, perfect. Okay, so now we move on to point number 3, I believe. Tip number 3, which
is there a point number 3?
I would hope there is, because we told people there would be 3.
Shit. No. There is. There it is. Right. Okay. Right. You got to learn to escalate your interactions. Now, I wish I'd got more time on this because it's a bit trickier than the others really to do. But essentially, well, I said to you, I thought this was like dating, and you poo-pooed that, didn't you? Really?
Oh, when was the last time you dated, Mike?
It was 1977, actually. But
yeah, and the world is a bit of a different place. I mean, it is quite like dating. As somebody who has experienced it a little bit more recently, it is a little bit like dating in that you can't meet someone and then propose marriage to them or ask for business straight away. There is an escalation to it. You have to sort of take your time and build that relationship as you go, right?
I've always wondered, I don't know, basically what happened was I met Mom at school and she said, "Well, look, can I walk you home?" She said, "Yeah, right then." And then we got married. That's what it seems like to me. So I don't know. Different now then, is it? It's all different now, is it?
I'm going to tell Mum you said that, see what happens.
Okay. But look, no, let me just run through this. So you meet someone on LinkedIn, you invite them to connect with a sexy message. They come in. Wish I hadn't said that.
We don't use the word sexy. Can we go back in time?
Can you cut that out?
Rewind that. Start again.
Okay. So you meet someone with a cool message. Nice. And they think, yeah, okay, I'll connect, right? The last thing they want is you then pitching. You do not do that, right? Rule number 37, don't pitch. Thanks for connecting. This is the deal. You should go back with a message, right? I use audio messages. So just send a little on LinkedIn, go onto a LinkedIn on your phone, go into message of the person you've connected with. Next to the message at the bottom where you can type is a little microphone. Press that, hold it in and speak a message. Take your thumb off, it lets you delete that and start again, or it lets you send it. It's dead easy. And I have a little message really, which is dead simple. I just thank people for connecting on LinkedIn. It's different every time, I don't script it or anything. And just say, look, I'm not going to hassle you or anything, but we do produce a lot of content. Are you okay if I send you some? And if you don't, then tell me. I mean, that's it. I won't, but so far, I don't think anybody's told me I can't send them content, so I do. But that's the beginning of that process then. So that's a social media kind of beginning. And then you might do stuff online, you comment on their stuff, they comment on your stuff, that kind of thing. And you need to get it from there to where you are actively messaging. Now, I think it was Shakespeare, he can summon demons from the vasty deep, will they come? Well, that means is you can message anybody, but will they answer?
Yeah. So messages is basically a conversation. They have to be
Yeah,
responding to you and
it's a
going
dialogue,
backwards and
really.
forwards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a monologue; it's a dialogue. So you can send a text or a WhatsApp or an email or a LinkedIn message or whatever, and they respond. You are at that level. That's pretty cool. But where you really need it to be is the last one, which is the call level. It's the call zone, basically, and that can be a video call like this, or it can be a telephone call. But the deal is, and this is a really crucial thing, you are now able to ring up and chat. That changes everything. They're
So
okay. They look forward to you
when you say
calling them.
chat, you mean sort of not business speak, like how are you doing, how's things, how's that football team, the Black and Gold Warriors doing, that kind of stuff when you say
No one
chat.
ever rings me about the Black and Gold Warriors, to be fair. But yeah, no, it's a combination. You'll talk about work, talk about
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And of course, as you get to know someone better, the conversation becomes more and more small talky
Yeah.
about the wolves or interests or something. To begin with, it's more work orientated. That's quite natural. It is just building a relationship like any other.
Right.
You've got it. You are talking to each other because there is a central common ground, probably something to do with work, almost certainly, probably something to do with value as well, right?
Right.
And then you just gradually, well, we'll keep in touch. I'll help you, or you can ask for help. That's a classic, right? Can you help me with this? It's got to be genuine, right? Doing a bit of research, I wondered if I could just have a couple of minutes of your time and ring them up. And it's not a trick. This is not. That's why I'm saying it on. I wouldn't be saying it if it was a trick, because I do it, and it's totally valuable, totally valid, because I want to know what they know, and I want
Right.
them to help me, and I'll help them in return. So
Okay. So in that case, the key thing to realize here is that natural progression takes time. It's not something that's going to happen. Connect with someone
yeah.
the day after I'm having a dialogue with them over email and the day after we're chatting on Zoom.
Ah,
That's
no.
not going to occur that way. It
This is
takes
not a
time.
transactional activity. This is
Right.
not transactional. It should end in a transaction if that's what that person is in your network for. I mean, there are other reasons for putting people in your network to help you, coach you, mentor you. A whole bunch of reasons you can have someone there. And
Mm.
in the same token, you'll coach and mentor and help other people. It's fine. But a streak of it, a big chunk of it is about making money, because that's why we're in business, isn't it?
Yep.
So that's why we do it. But you've got to add value, and you've got to be authentic and genuine about what you do. Because if you're not, people spot it. They can smell it at 100 paces, and it's a pungent smell. They don't like it. So,
No. Okay. Right, Mike. I think we're sort of coming to the end of our time that we sort of get here. So I'm just going to sort of summer up. Summer up.
summer up,
Summarize
yeah,
up.
do summer up, yeah. It's summer in
Summarize
Australia.
up.
One of
Summer
my
up,
leads,
right?
by the way, was from Australia. Just want to tell you that.
Multinational. Right. So the first thing to think about is that the network is not a verb, it's a noun. It is something that you nurture and grow and put energy and value into that will then become one of the greatest tools that you'll have when it comes to your business and your life, mentoring, growing forward, all that kind of thing. Networking, as we talk about, is something that you do where any activity that involves strengthening that network that we've created.
Mostly interactions and adding value, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah. So the key thing there is making sure that you're in the black with pretty much as many people in your network as possible, preferably all of them is the deal here.
It helps you feel fun to be with as well. Just want to say that.
Well, we have that in spades. We have that in spades. So those are the key things to think about when it comes to actually growing that network. The first thing to think about is looking at your network and where you are. Audit your network, whether you're in the black or in the red with everybody. Too much to do, so you go 30 core people, 50 sort of peripheral around there, because focus equals penetration and penetration equals accumulation. Mike, if you've taught me anything,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when we talk about the tips, the first one is to invite the right people to connect, and
lots of them, and do it right. Yeah.
Yes, and to do it right, the two tips that you said, first of all, is to use the word because, and secondly is to do a PS, which somehow fosters that connection. I'm the same as you, or this is really interesting, or something like that.
Yeah.
The second tip is to give as much value as you can, give as much attention, give as much of anything to make sure that you're in the black in that relationship before you even think or consider asking for anything at all.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And events are a great way to give things. You can give your time, you can give content, you can give all sorts of things. And then finally, the final tip is to escalate your interaction. So don't assume everything's going to happen overnight. It takes some time. You start on social media where you just comment occasionally and it's just
But you're doing it on purpose.
Yes.
That's the key. You are doing it. You need to get to the next stage.
Yeah.
And when all this silliness has ended, the fourth stage will be when you meet them in person.
Yeah. Okay, so you go from social media, which is more one-sided, then you go into a dialogue via messaging, whether that's Instagram, text, email, whatever it might be. And then finally, the point at the moment, because like you said, COVID, we're aiming for a call. So whether that's on the phone or on a Zoom call, that's the sort of progression. It takes time. You need to add value. You can sort of feel it out. And if the person sort of rejects you going to the next leap, that's okay. Back off a bit and try again later when the relationship's stronger. Okay.
Stay cool, yeah.
Perfect. I think that's a much better way of networking than, catching eye with someone over.
You can do it from your armchair, hence the name of it, really. Exactly. Shall we quickly cover off what we're doing next week? Got a special guest coming in.
We're excited about it because it's
got Graham Wilson coming in. And he's going to talk about project management, as it says there, for small business owners. Why? Well, if you're a small business owner, you are a project manager. You have to be. And half the time, none of us, and I'm dreadful at it, so I'm going to learn a ton on this one. We all manage projects, so why don't we learn how to do it? And he's going to focus, he's a really top consultant on it, and he's narrowed it right down for people like you and I. So that's going to be absolutely awesome. I can't wait.
So we are very excited about that. Again, 12:30 as per usual, 12:30 on Thursday, LinkedIn Live. Come and watch us live. We always love having you.
We'll see you there. Take care, guys.
Bye.